It's funny how often a sermon is more like a sword than a plowshare. Opens up a subject and concludes it. That's what swords do too. They just take care of things because they're like violence. Get rid of that problem and move on to the next one. A sword pretends to take care of things in the same way that war pretends to stop trouble, when all it does is start more. A plowshare is different. A plowshare cultivates ground and opens space for perpetual beginnings. Swords are obviously instruments of war, the kind that always, again, pretend to resolve things. And plowshares are instruments of peace. They till the soil and provide us food. Because I am firmly convinced that I have to do something different, somehow. And because I know the spirits approve, they are kicking me around the room. And when I come up against the wall, they say, now come on out and just try something different. Go ahead. Give peace a chance, Donna. Because I know I have to do something different, I'm going to do a plowshare sermon today. Just cultivation, no resolution. Like Maria Teresa Alves, who just won a wonderful award, the prize for art and politics in Brazil. She helped found Brazil's Green Party. And her prize came because she said that human migration was the same as scattering seeds, distributing them inadvertently all around the world after pulling them out of the holds of cargo ships. You put the seeds in the cargo ships, you take them all around the world, and you throw them out. And that's what human migration is. Judson, like other great congregations and great communities, is fundamentally a place of seed scattering and cultivation of those seeds. We aerate the ground with art and action and spirit. We keep the clods less firm. If any of you have ever been a gardener, you know what I mean by a clod? It's one of those things where the dirt just marries itself to itself, and you've got to really pound it into fertility. We are also like another artist, Pedro Reyes, Mexican artist, who calls his project Disarm. Disarm is a real use of weapons that were collected by the Mexican government, turned into musical instruments. It will be online, you can see it. Like a good poem or a good haiku, art, in both of these cases, is often nothing more or less than a moment of insight. It gives us a moment to just stop and look and see how beautiful it is that a gun that was used in the Mexican drug wars is now an instrument on which you can make music. How beautiful it is, the idea that seeds coming together in a cargo ship, crossing oceans quietly, and just dumping themselves into the ground and hoping they can sprout. I asked someone I love very much how to preach this sermon about swords being beaten into plowshares, and she said, focus on the verb beaten. Say the process of going from harm to disarm is almost violent in itself. Say that turning something that is hurtful into something that is helpful is a kind of transformation that won't just feel good. Bang it, beat it. You may also feel beaten down by the process of becoming different. If you are in the ground, or if you are the ground, you're not going to enjoy being cultivated. We are in a great moment when the narrative of first world exceptionalism is in deep global collision with the narrative of global democratic participation. And if you don't think that's a formula for war, you missed high school history. Guns are involved already. Zadie Smith, the great fiction writer, speaks of the unbearable cruelty of proofs. You know, when they show up and you think you wrote that, and then you read it, and you said, that was my work? Really? We're in a kind of time when you wonder if the stories you've been telling yourself are really the stories you want to be telling yourself. The proofs are coming back. They've shown up in the mailbox, and you read them and say, did I say that? Did I think that? Did I mean that? We are questioning the very stories we tell about ourselves and the stories we tell each other. To give you a Ploughshare kind of sermon, a cultivating, aerating one, I have to tell stories. It's the only thing I can do. First, I'm going to tell you about Kuldeep. Many of you know him. He's been around for a couple of years, and he has given permission often to tell his story. He was picked up at his check-in on Thursday. He is in detention in New Jersey right now, on his way to being deported to India. We'll never know why he didn't ask someone to accompany him, but he didn't this time. And you know, had we been there or not been there, the results might have been exactly the same. I do not know. It's sort of like when a close friend of yours commits suicide. You always say, well, if I had just been there, I could have stopped that. Well, that is an impotent reach for control of the material. I don't know, but whatever, we did not accompany him, and we got a phone call. Kuldeep's wife is in Virginia, living in a trailer park with an old man for whom she cares in exchange for rent, living there with her 2-year-old son, sleeping on his couch. The son is also Kuldeep's 2-year-old son. His wife, Stephanie, is a white Southerner, and they love each other. Kuldeep is Muslim and makes $500 a week under the table, driving a truck to deliver things when he can get work. He does not have a driver's license. Stephanie gets a little money from Kuldeep, and Kuldeep lives in a room in Queens with 2 other men. 1 room, 3 men, $500 a week. Because Stephanie loves Kuldeep, she is held a yard sale yesterday in the trailer park, selling what little she has to raise bail for him. And you can't bail out a person in a detention center. Sometimes the facts just don't matter. Kuldeep has been calling me from the detention center on one of the entrepreneurial businesses that has developed around detention centers, the cell phone company. For $4 a minute, you can call your loved ones and let them know what's going on if you get a good deal. Or you can call your pastor. Kuldeep never calls me by my name. He always just says, Pastor, Pastor. And I feel so helpless. I wish he'd just call me Donna. That would make what we cannot do for him so much easier to bear. Right now, there are ways for him to call collect, but I have to do an 800 number, go through a security system, and then give them my credit card so I can pay $4.50 for the collect call per minute. Now, we can help Kuldeep somewhat, and we have done it. We can file a stay of removal. It's done. It is possible that that will work. It's also possible that it will not work. It will only buy him some time. Because every immigration expert, insider, lawyer, newspaper reporter that we were talking to says that everybody with a prior is going to be deported in about a month. This is the work that the New Sanctuary movement does every single day. Why do I use the word stay of removal? Because I have petitioned myself spiritually for a stay of confusion and hope to come out of detention soon. How many of these people are we going to be able to help even at our maximum? And by help, I mean defend. The word defense seems to be on everyone's lips. Defense is when you play, when you have no offensive game. And sanctuary is defense, whether it occurs in the active form of accompaniment or the passive form of offering more space than you even have to people who need to gather and get together and organize. Thursday night, the week before Thanksgiving, this room held a gathering of 37 undocumented people who took the bold decision of going to ICE in person and asking for working papers. Good action, smart action. I was so impressed with the leadership of the women and the mothers in the group, I couldn't stand myself. The meal was also superb. Roasted chickens with their heads still on. I told you I was going to tell stories. Our meditation text for the day is about doing something like throwing fire at a paper. What these women and men did was to throw fire at a paper. They're looking for help. Another story, I don't know if I was the only one, but I was really bothered by the president offering pardons to turkeys this year. You know why? Ravi Ragbir, a member of this congregation, an executive director of the New York New Sanctuary movement, may be deported, and we have a file 100 pages or more long, requesting a pardon for him. Pray for pardons for the leaders of the immigration movement. Do not let them chop the chicken's head off. Forget the swords. Cultivate the plowshares. You probably don't know my friend Elizabeth Johnson. She was the chair of the League of Women Voters in Berkshire County for decades. And then she hurt herself and had to stay at home and lived in a wheelchair. And every morning, as part of her morning devotional, she would write one of her congresspeople, electeds, and she'd handwrite a letter to them. And she got to know them, and they got to know her, and she'd call them, and, she already knew them. But she did this devotionally and meditatively. And when the sanctuary movement hit Berkshire County, remember the one in the 80s, 3 nuns and I locked ourselves into a bathroom in the federal building, standing on the toilets, holding on to the walls, and Elizabeth called Silvio Conti, our congressman, and guess who took his call? And guess who really did the right thing legislatively then and there? You probably think that whatever you're doing is too small. Most of us wonder whether the little we can do is even worth doing. We're in a kind of powerless phase. Raoul Wallenberg only set up 31 safe houses. What kind of guy is that? Seriously, what a piker. Kaori Huma only charred a dozen or so surfaces as a way to show us what she calls the unthinkable. So the obvious question for us here now is this: what will Judson do differently? If I hear the conversations around us and among us correctly, I think we will become more a center of cultivation of outsiders in their moments of insight through art and action. Center, art, action, cultivation, moments of insight. Call us a sanctuary of the spirit, the art, and the action, and let our verb be cultivation. Our staff meeting on Wednesday was pretty wild. We spent it turning down all the people who wanted to come in here and do good work. We spent it curating. We are going to more actively curate the people who come here. And dear Board of Directors, we're not going to be able to make as much money renting space here. Can't do it. It's wrong. There are too many people who need space, who need cultivation. That's what we do best. And we just can't secure ourselves right now without securing those we love. So why are we here? We are here to distribute seeds. We are here to collect arms and turn them into musical instruments. We are here to be a safe house. We are here to think about the unthinkable, ponder the unponderable, and make sure that what happens next is a great and wonderful surprise, not a great and terrible surprise. We are here to mutually take care of each other and to cultivate focus in each other. I'll be saying a lot more about that as time goes on. Personally, I've made some decisions about what I'm going to do and what I'm going to attend to, and one of the things I'm going to do and attend to is you. Because we can't be the only sanctuary church within 5 miles, right? We need to create energy, create help, create power, create love, and defend each other. Rabbi Amichai Lab Shul says all this in a nutshell. We need to be a port, not a fort. Amen.